Good morning. My name is Leah, and I want to talk to you about my adult education journey. I have done a couple of videos, sporadic. This one will be too. I wanted to talk to you about how all of this started, this making these videos and advocating for adult education, as well as storytelling, and as well as um, the process of what happened to me. In March of 2022, I decided to go back to get my GED. And in that process, I applied, not, well, I didn't apply. I registered. I did a placement test to see where I located in my classes, what I needed to know, what I already knew. And from there, I had chosen a class that was a blended learning class. So that everything was going on all the time. We could do math, we could do language, we could do this, we could do that, and partake in the class. We could do it online or we could do it in person. Either way, it was uh, the ability was there. Um, in that part of it, things were kind of moving a little slow for me. I was struggling to navigate the Google Classroom and the EdReady or the Essential Ed. I don't remember what online program was taking me like chapter by chapter by chapter. It was hard going through those things and very difficult. And I'm more of a one-on-one or in person, so the online was a difficult space, and it was very frustrating the first year, almost the first year in my classes. Um, so I decided to change my classes, and I went to a specific math class and I went to a specific language arts class. And from there, I was able to get a lot more detail and hands-on practice and moving forward in my classes. And with all of that being said, in that space, I was nominated for Outstanding Student of the Year. Um, Ultimately, that just came down to the fact that I was willing to talk to class. I was willing to talk in class. I was willing to communicate to my instructors what I was or wasn't getting. And at times, because it was painfully quiet, nobody was willing to answer or communicate, I just shoot from the hip. Whether it was right or wrong, it created a discussion or it allowed a platform for students who may had been afraid to say something about that math problem or that question in language arts. So, yeah, I was not afraid to just speak. Shocking, I know. um, so that started there, and to be the outstanding student of the year, I got the opportunity to go to the Roundhouse. I think I've mentioned this a time or two. To go to our local state capital, and it's called the Roundhouse in Santa Fe, New Mexico, because it's round, literally. You have this cone, this funnel, and where you can look down on all levels, and it's kind of like there's aisles or lanes. There are hallways to offices and things, but then also the restroom floors of the Senate as well as the House, kind of oval shaped, and one sits on one side and one sits on the other side. And so they have what is called the Adult Education and Literacy Day at the Roundhouse, where there's always daily events going on, and this is always during the legislative session. That way, we hopefully have an opportunity to meet our representatives and have just have a show. And I'm going to, speaking of show, because this is top notch entertainment here. This was high dollar production. This was my first adult education and literacy day at the Roundhouse. We actually were fortunate enough to have our governor, Michelle Lujan Grisham, either here nor there, whether you like her or not. She spoke, and that was nice for the first time being a part of any event like this, and be like, wow, she really is that short. Um, and just being around, you didn't realize all these schools. I mean, from all over the state of New Mexico came to this event, and we got to cheer on all the students that were recognized, and then we got to there are representatives who will sponsor the floor, so the House floor, the Senate floor, and we get divided up into two different groups depending on how many of us there are, and we get to go onto the restroom floor, and we get to sit. And we get to watch. Well, one, they read the proclamation about adult education, and then they will introduce us to the rest of the House or Senate representatives, and we get to literally sit in the belly of the beast and watch how our representatives conduct on a daily basis during the legislative session what's really going on. And then we have the opportunity to get up and leave whenever we want to, because I don't think none of us truly, honestly want to sit there for, possibly 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 hours a day, depending on what they have to discuss. But it was there that I realized that there was so much more going on behind the scenes in adult education, that once I got back to my program and my school, that it kind of caused me to question, well, what about this? What about that? What about internet and our internet accessibility in my county? Because parts of our county are rural. And what about the transportation? Because our school is kind of out there in my county, as well as there's a lot of food insecurity too. So we have a lot of students that there isn't a McDonald's or anything anywhere close by, as far as quickly to just, well, we can't cross the street and get to a fast food for a quick snack or something, because it is really off the main roads. And but there's a cafeteria. Not all of us can, be on campus 2, 3, 4 days a week and afford to buy food all the time. And so it started a couple of things. We were able to connect the public library that is on our campus, because the next steps, my program that I was in was also attached to a community college campus. So the library was available, so there was internet and there were computers to use for online classes, or free printing if you had to print an assignment or gain those assignments within the classroom via Google Classroom. Also, there is an organization that addresses food insecurities and hygiene insecurities. And that was accessible to the college students, but not to our adult education students. And so, via communications and just raising questions, and why not, we're adults too, we're humans too, and we were able to bridge some of those gaps, and now adult education students can access those things on the college campus. And that was exciting. That was very exciting. So, in that process of creating these conversations, asking these questions, my math instructor decided to introduce me to New Mexico Adult Education Association. I've mentioned them before. We like to call them NMEA for short, and they are our state advocates. This is the state source for adult education. And they had a student ambassador program. Could not be referred to it. You had to actually apply for it, and you somewhat of a bio and answer specific questions that are set up pertaining to advocacy and what the goal is to advocating. And so I applied. And this was in summertime 2023. Yes, 2023. And applied, and I got to go to a training, a student ambassador training. This was based upon a regional conference of 9 states in mostly the southern, New Mexico, Colorado, Wyoming, North Dakota, Montana, Iowa, Utah, Vegas, Las Vegas, no, Nevada, excuse me, and from the state, Arizona. Oh boy. There might be more. I apologize if I didn't get everybody. So we had this training, and the core of the training is to tell your story, is to gain some confidence and awareness of how your story is in your space of adult education. And so there were 6 of us who applied and were accepted from all over the state of New Mexico. And some had already graduated and some had not graduated. And so there were different levels and spaces and places that all of us met, but we all experienced adult education. And this is the 6. This is Annalie from Las Cruces, myself. This is Cruz from Espanola, Zane from Roswell, and Samuel from Las Vegas, and Linnea from Grants, all part of New Mexico in one way, shape, or form, and New Mexico's adult education. And the 6 of us got into this training, and we're all excited about sharing our stories with each other. And if you have an opportunity to go to New Mexico Adult Education Association, their website is nmadulted.org. You can read our stories. This was something that was put together for us when we first started, and we're working on that for our new cohorts. But you just have to read the stories. It's absolutely phenomenal. Bert, excuse me. Hey, Mister. We got a dog in December. Bert. Mister. So within our training, that's when we realized that our advocacy was based upon local legislation and advocating to share our story because we wanted to put a face to adult education and who we really are and what stopped us in our public education journey. However soon ago or many years ago, or it could have been 100 years ago, that we stopped going to high school and stopped going to the public school for our education. And a lot of us cringed. We're like, ugh, politics, this is not what I signed up for. But because of our application and because of we were made clear that this was a 1-year intern. And so we were going to definitely make sure, I was going to definitely make sure that I was going to stay committed to my commitment. And in my journey, I have discovered it's not about Republicans, it's not about Democrats, it's about adult education. And it's about who we are, and it's about our ability to relearn and our ability to learn more than what is required from public education to get a diploma. And we're also juggling families and jobs and health issues and personal issues and life events that have really altered us in some way, shape, or form. And in telling our stories, it becomes very, very emotional because it's the first time we hear what is coming out of our being. We always cry when we share our stories, and we always celebrate the journey. It's a very emotional process to be so genuinely transparent to complete strangers, because when we get into this training, we've never met each other before for the most part. And we are now trusting you with a space that is only personal to ourselves, to me, to you. And writing it and sending it in an email or a letter or handing it off to a representative with whatever information you may have about adult education that you feel is important to them passing bills and supporting adult education is wretched. To actually tell your story and say, because of these things, led to more things, and the journeys are rough, and they're very, very beautiful. Ultimately, the bigger picture is it's beautiful, because without all of that, we wouldn't be here today. We wouldn't be advocating and standing up and sharing how important this is. I wouldn't be here today, and I'll get to just share my story at some point in time, and and allow everybody to be a part of my journey from where I started and why I'm here. I know I'm struggling and stammering. I see my clock. Man, there was just so much to unpack. With that story, I'm going to stop this around 20 minutes. Forgive me. I hope you all watch this. I really do. With that story being placed this year, we started another round of student ambassadors. This year, we will have 9 student ambassadors. That 7 have already taken our training locally here in New Mexico, and we have 2 more that are going to be going to Dallas at the end of March for a COABE conference. And this is a national conference, and I'm excited about this one. So the Coalition on Adult Basic Education has a national conference, and they host a student leadership summit as well as student ambassador training, the same training that I went through when I became a student ambassador. On that side of the coin, there's that. On the other side of the coin, because of what I went through as a student ambassador and my training and what has happened in the last year and a half or so, we have expanded a day and a half of training to 3 days. So the new student ambassadors this year had 3 days of training and 3 days of what advocacy really is. And I will record another video, I guess a part 2, to you, and explain that transition, because not only has advocacy healed me in my process, you can't stop me talking about advocacy, my story, and other individuals' stories, but the power of advocacy is where I have found my place and in all of this chaos. And now I am a central regional representative for NMEA, as well as a student facilitator for NMEA and the Student Ambassador Program, plus our sister company, Propel NM, which is a professional learning for all practitioners and teachers that are in adult education and in literacy and ESL, English as a second language, and ELL and English learning language, and all of the above. This is Propel is who provides the training, and they are tied in with the New Mexico Higher Education Department of New Mexico. And so all of this is like legit and figured out and handled. So I'm doing social media, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and X. X is hard, but COABE, Coalition on Adult Basic Education, or COABE. Everybody says it differently. I will be a part of that conference. I will be presenting, and I will be a part of the Student Leaders Summit on the leadership side of it, as well as the student ambassador training on the leader side of it. So I look forward to sharing that with you. Thank you. Again, my name is Leah. I am here to talk to you about adult education and what this journey has meant to me. Thank you for watching, and I will have more videos coming at you, just right after you.